Whoa, and we're live back with another .NET Unboxed. The boys are back. Oh my goodness. What is happening? Chat. I've been influenced by Burke. Everyone just calls chat. Chat. Oh my goodness. All of our .NET developers around the world. Today is the day. It is the day because I'm back here on the live stream. Get out of here, John Galloway, keynoting VS Live stuff. Get out of here. Yeah, I'm back. Back. That's right. I'm James. I'm one of your hosts. I'm super excited because, of course, Dan is here. Mike is here. And we got the one and only Chet up in the house. We got his mic working, even though he is muted here. So just be careful of that. But he is typing really loudly. So he's good to go. And today is the day. It's RC1 day, which means it's a go live license. What does that mean, Dan? Go live license.
Go live license means you should make it go live, like put it in production, try it out with your existing apps, and it's supported. You can do that. You can file issues on us, and we'll support you on that. And you should let us know how it goes so that we can make sure that when we ship in November, it is perfect release.
That is right. So I've been already publishing into production with preview 1. I just was like, I'm just going for it. Was that wrong?
That is not wrong. That you are free. You're free to do so, and that is tremendously helpful to us as a platform because we get that early feedback. We get those issues. You know, the sooner we find out about things, the easier it is for us to fix them. So that is a fantastic thing to do. You are a great person, James, for doing that.
Yes. Well, I'm super excited because we had our call yesterday. And I was like, what are we going to do on this stream? I have no idea. John's gone. I don't know. And Dan made the great point, which is, in RC1, it's not like there's a lot of huge changes because, the features are kind of done. It's just kind of some last minute, tweaks, smoothing and things like that. And in fact, as I pull up the release notes here, boom, look at that. We can see that, yes, RC1 is ready to go. You can click download it. And as you scroll through, you can see that there are some updates, some good library updates in here. We can see runtime, SDK, C#, VB, so I don't know, ASP.NET goodness in there. There's some things in here, but it's not like one of the huge ones in there because it's a lot of sort of polish that's been going on in these last few releases, which is great. So that means you can download the stuff. If you've been going with the previews along the way, you're good to go. Up here's our live stream. But of course, you can dive into what's new. So these big blog posts that we've been doing, are just snapshots in time. If you dive into the, what's new in Maui, for example, you're going to see all the goodies of all the stuff, the Aspire integration, controls, the different, web enhancements and performance improvements and all the stuff that's happened. Same with ASP.NET Core. I mean, there's like a bajillion things. You could scroll, C#, boom, boom, go. All this stuff that's been there as the team has been putting it out, right? So that's what's super cool. But as Dan mentioned, yes, a go live support license. Let's see if this link works. It does. Boom. Who knows? I didn't test it. You can see all the support policy stuff. It's live. And you can see all this stuff there as well. And yes, .NET 10 launching November 2025. Boom. Sign up, .NETconf.net. It's happening. I'm super stoked. I saw some of the session previews and it's going to blow minds. I'm super stoked for it because in addition to that, people, you have VS 2026 insiders just dropping, blowing minds. Oh my goodness. I've been dog food in VS 26 for a bit and it is delightful. .NET 10 going to be working inside of your VS 26. You can download that insiders now. And of course you can get it in VS Code. We're going to show both of them here today. But if you haven't, let's just watch this video. I got to just watch this. This is a great video. Can't hear it because it's loud, but
it's in the silent movie theme.
I can hear it. I can jam out because it's just me.
VS 2026 is beautiful. Like the new design aesthetic is.
And it even says .NET 10 right there. Boom. That's a great video. Boom. Go grab that as well. So super stoked. They're going to be doing a release party later this week. Check out the VS YouTube, all that goodness. Focus on AI. Focus on blazing past performance and new modern look and feel. And yes, bubblegum, that's the jam, people. If you're not bubblegumming, that's the favorite one. I'm just bubblegum all day, people. Also, head over to visualstudiowallpapers.com. Mads K is going to be dropping new wallpapers this week on VS Wallpaper, visualstudiowallpapers.com. That is a domain name that I stole from Mr. Scott Hanselman. We vibe coded this website up. It's open source. Not only great things celebrating the 50 million VS and VS Code users, you can dive through all of these beautiful stunning wallpapers. Like I made this, and by I made this, I just prompted my way to it. And then there's also community archives that are all community generated, old school VS goodness. If you want to dive through those bits, those are the good stuff. All right. I want to point out one more thing before we dive into this is that you can always go to the /.net/core repo, pop into release notes. If you want to see the raw release notes for .NET 10, head into there, head into preview, boom, you pump this up, boom, boom. And you can see all of the goodness here, right? So the what's new documentation that's going to give you everything snapshot in time, latest and greatest. You can always see the diffs, everything that's sort of evolved along the way, which is when we were talking about it, it's like, well, there's not that much huge, crazy difference between all the, in this release and preview 7, but let's have the team on to show off some of their favorite features that they dropped in .NET 10, sort of like a sneak peek for November of you, a little sprinkle of .NET 10. I'm real excited. I drank a lot of coffee today. Let's go. And I'm going to kick it off with Dan and Mike. Woo, let's do it. I love it. Oh, and yes, Mark, great question. When is the novel from Stephen Toub coming out? Tomorrow. So subscribe to the .NET. Yeah, did you not know that, Chet? Was that just?
No, I've been rereading the preview and like the internal blog post PR like a caveman.
Yeah, no. Y'all want a sneak peek? I'm gonna sneak peek it for you. All right, there we go. Let me see. I want to see if it crashes my browser. Okay, is the first. All right,
James drops off.
So there you go.
Yeah. See how small the scroll bar is. Yes.
There you go. If you can just browse through that really fast, it's so much that there needs to be a show more, and that scroll bar goes all the way down. This is there you go. That is the Stephen
peanut butter. Second from the bottom, peanut butter.
What is peanut butter? Oh, it's the peanut butter and jelly that goes into the release. The real question is, if I do print, how many pages is this pup? It's thinking. Sponsored by Brother Printers. It's thinking. 244 sheets of paper. I do not have that many sheets of paper. So there is that. I'd have to go to Costco to print this novel, people.
Trees across the world wince in pain at the thought of printing the 200 pages.
See, y'all come to this sneak peek of .NET Unboxed. You get the goodies. You get the Stephen Toub Crash Your Browser novel. It's going on. Now, what I really want is an audio narrated version from Stephen Toub through it.
Because you can get it.
He just reads it. Just reads it all in that sweet, sweet Stephen Toub voice. Now that's what I'm talking about. I know
we've got some great voiceover actors on the team. They should like compete to see who gets the privilege.
Everyone from the team takes a different section. Now that is a great live stream. What we do is we do a live stream. That's gonna be forever. All right. Well, let's get into it. We got a whole bunch of goodies. Dan and Mike are going to kick it off with ASP.NET Core, Blazor, a whole bunch of web goodies, and then Chet has a whole bunch of goodies for DNX, your favorite .NET tool that's in that SDK. I'm going to have Chet and I go away, and Dan and Mike, take it away.
We're taking it over. Taking over the party. Awesome. James, thank you so much. Love the energy. Love the excitement. Wow. We're excited to be here to talk about this latest release of .NET 10 and the new features in this release for ASP.NET Core web developers. This is the first release candidate of .NET 10. That means we think we are pretty much done with this release, that this is a candidate we could just ship to you. We just want to hear from you whether it's ready or not. So try out the bits, try them out with your existing applications, new applications. Let us know if you think it's ready to go, so that by November, we're all set to ship it and have it be just perfect. So I'm Daniel Roth. I'm the product manager for ASP.NET Core and Blazor, and I'm here with my good friend, Mike Kistler. Mike, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Mike Kistler. I'm also a PM on the ASP.NET Core team, focusing mostly on APIs and authentication.
So in .NET 10, what are we doing for web developers? What are the new and exciting areas for ASP.NET Core? Well, we've really been focusing on 4 major areas. The first is security. Security is obviously super important, more important than ever before. At Microsoft, we've been highly focused on our own security posture, and we want to make sure that you can build the most secure apps possible with ASP.NET Core in .NET 10. app observability and diagnostics. We're adding lots more logging, metrics, and tracing to ASP.NET Core, so it's easier for you to monitor and troubleshoot your apps. Targeted performance improvements. We've seen a bunch of those performance improvements. We're in the Toub tome of performance for .NET. We're continuing to optimize ASP.NET Core in .NET 10, so it is the fastest release of ASP.NET Core yet. And then addressing top pain points and gaps. We're really trying to take the time this release to address many of those like long-standing issues, those irritating feature gaps. Just get all that stuff cleaned up, done, so that you have a really delightful development experience with ASP.NET Core. So what we thought we'd do is we're going to show you a couple of highlight features from this release. If you've been following along, you may have seen these features before. That's okay. We know that at this point in the release is when a lot of people really start to pay attention. They're like, oh, wow, release candidate 1, that means this thing's almost done. It's time to really start kicking the tires and taking it seriously. So we're going to go over what some of those new features are, give you a taste, and then point you to some additional resources that you can use to learn about everything that's new in ASP.NET Core. It is loaded with new functionality. All right, so first, I'm going to show you one of my favorite new features, which is support for validation for minimal APIs and Blazor. Now, minimal APIs, let me go over here to Visual Studio. Here I have Visual Studio 2026 Insiders Edition with the awesome new themes. It's gorgeous, it's beautiful, it's AI powered with lots of great new AI features, super fast. Minimal APIs are our recommended way for building fast, lightweight HTTP APIs with ASP.NET Core using a minimal amount of code. Now, when we say minimal, it doesn't mean that minimal APIs are light on features. In .NET 10, we're adding tons of capabilities to minimal APIs, like improved OpenAPI support, support for server-sent events, better JSON patch support using system text JSON, and of course, the new validation support. So let's take a look here. So here in this, let me go to my Solution Explorer. This is a Razor file. We'll get to Blazor in a second. So here in Program CS, you can see I have a very, very simple, minimalistic minimal API right here that's just allowing me to post on some sort of product order, right? And it's not doing anything with it. It's just returning an okay. But what we want to do is see what can we validate when that data is then sent to this minimal API. Now, to turn on the new validation feature, all I have to do is up here above is called the add validation API to add the related validation services to my service configuration. And then we're good to go. Now, I think I've already got this running. Yep, it's running. And so what I'm going to do is bring up this HTTP file, and I'm just going to send some requests to that minimal API. And here you can see I've got a sample order, and this should be valid. Like if I run this, it should give me a 200 okay. Let's see. Is that going through? Yeah, 200 okay, right there at the top. So we've got a good response, so we're good to go. Now, what happens, though, if I start malforming the data a little bit? So, for example, let's say that this email address right here is no longer quite right. And maybe instead of just two widgets, I'm going to ask for like 200. Now, if you look at the order model that we're using for this minimal API, it's got a whole bunch of data annotations all over it, to say like the order name's required, that, if we scroll down here a little bit, that the email address needs to be an actual valid email address. And then when we look at like the order item model, we, can only ask for up to 100 items. I guess there's supply restrictions on this particular company. All right. And you can see this is a complex object graph, and we've got data annotations all throughout the graph. So we're doing deep validation of the entire object graph to collect those errors. You can do the validation at the type level, at the property level. You have that rich data annotation space programming model for defining your validation rules. Okay, so if we now send this request where I've got some validation errors, let's go ahead and send that. Yeah, awesome. So now we get a 400 response, and we can see that, yep, the customer details.email was an invalid email address, wasn't formatted correctly, and we can see down here below that the quantity of the items that I requested was not between 1 and 100. It was over that, and so we get validation errors. So validation is now built in to minimal APIs. You can use it when you're building your own APIs as well. What's really cool, though, is the validation infrastructure that we built to enable this feature in minimal APIs. We're also reusing that now for Blazor so that you get improved Blazor validation support. Now, Blazor is our recommended framework for building web UI with .NET and ASP.NET Core. It provides you the most flexibility with different render modes for building both statically rendered sites as well as fully interactive sites. In Blazor, we've long had support for validation for when defining like forms. And here in that home.razor file that you saw briefly earlier, you can see I've got a Blazor form that I'm defining, again, based off of that same order model. And here you can see we're using the normal Blazor data annotations validator component to validate the model. Now, in the past, this validator component would only validate like the top level properties for that model. It wouldn't go deep, like it wouldn't traverse into the object graph, which was a known gap. But now in .NET 10, with the new validation support that we built for minimal APIs, we've also integrated that into Blazor, and we get full object graph validation for Blazor as well. So if we go and look at this form in the live site, let me pull up the running app. Okay, so here's my Blazor form. And if I just try to submit this without doing anything, you can see I'm getting validation throughout the entire form for the customer details, for the shipping address. As I start filling stuff in, like let's say I want to order some pizzas, and there's my name, and I'll put an email address in here like that. That's a valid email address. If I do an invalid one, it detects that. And so I'm getting validation in the customer details. I'm getting validation throughout the object graph. Let's go ahead and fill out this whole thing. Let's send these pizzas to Microsoft. I think this is the zip code. And what do we want to order? Let's I love me some Hawaiian pizza. I know that's controversial though. So of course, let's hold the pineapple. I know some of you probably think that should be a validation error, but in this case, it's not. Here I'm only ordering one, but if I try to order 200, I get the normal validation error saying that that's too many. Okay, so you get validation, deep validation for both minimal APIs and also for Blazor. All right, so that's the first thing I wanted to show. That's one of those feature gaps that we've addressed. Mike, do you want to show us one of the new security features?
Absolutely, I do. And before we get to that, I just want to say the validation stuff, Dan, you described as filling a feature gap, but also of those 4 themes, you can also really slot that into the improved app security as well. Because one of the first things that you need to do to make sure that your apps are secure is to validate any input that you're bringing in to make sure it's not going to do anything malicious, right?
Validate that untrusted input. Absolutely, yeah.
So this hits both themes there very, very well. Okay, so yes, what I want to show is the new support for passkeys, another thing for security, helping you build secure apps. We've built in support for passkeys into the ASP.NET Core identity framework. So if you build an app that uses ASP.NET Core identity, you want to bring up my screen there, Dan or James? Yeah. So if you build an app with ASP.NET Core identity, you now get passkeys just built right in. And I'm going to show you that. Now I'm using VS Code today, and I'm doing it in a dev container. I just want to show here that if you wanted to do this, you just .NET install with channel 10.0, and then what you get, .NET. SDKs. So you get the 9.0, which I got from the standard dev container, but then I've installed on top of it the new 10.0 RC1. So we're good to go here. And we've got our Blazor template that we're going to build here. .NET, new Blazor. And, this has been there for a while. And you say auth individual. And this will create a new Blazor app. You can see that it's populated it all right here, right? And in the data directory, it's got my app.db where I'm going to store all of my identity information. And this is already set up to use passkeys. So now I'm going to just run the app. And it'll pop this up, and we'll have a web page to load here in a minute. I'm just going to do this way. It's going to bring up my web page. So here's my Blazor app. Let's increase the font here. And if I try to go to a page, this is all the same that it's been before. Try to go to a page that requires authorization. I get redirected to the login page. So I'm going to sign up here, Oops, I have to go register to sign up. And make sure that I type the same thing in 2 places. And register. And sure enough, I get this. Now, because this is a demo app, we're not actually going to do the email. So I'm going to confirm the account here. So now I've confirmed the account. If I log in one more time, I have to enter that password. Now I get to a point where I'm logged in. And if I go to my users page, there's a passkeys entry here. And I can come here and it will say, do you want to manage your passkeys? And yes, I do. I want to add a new passkey. Oh, yes, sorry. This is what I forgot. I should have done this earlier. So when you do this on 127.0.0.1, you don't get what you want. So what I have to do is I have to come back here and go to localhost colon, where am I going here? 5068. 5068. All right, so log in one more time. User@test.com. All right, now we come in, we can come here. For some reason, when you use the IP numbers directly, this doesn't work. So you have to come over here and actually use localhost, say passkeys. I want to add a new passkey. Yes, I want to create a passkey, but I don't want to do it with the Microsoft Authenticator. What I want to do is I want to put it in my Edge profile.
And you have choices there, right? You can use your favorite authenticator place to store those keys that works for you.
That's right. That's right. So when you do this, it wants you to verify that you're sitting at the keyboard to do this. And I want to call this my Edge profile key. And now I've created a new passkey. So now I'll log back out. And now when I come to log in, I can just say log in with passkey. And I come to log in with passkey. And because of the protocol that happens back and forth between the browser and the app, it knows that there's a user@test.com that has a passkey. I can just click that. Again, I have to verify, but now I'm logged in. Here I am. So that's all built into the box. I haven't done any, changing of source code whatsoever. This is all in the Blazor template that's there ready for you to use.
Nice. Yeah. And so I love the security posture of this, right? Because it's tied to the site. They're hard to spoof. Like they're, you can't steal someone's password this way. It's a much secure way to build your websites.
Yeah. They're a great solution. Yep.
Cool. Thanks, Mike. All right, I'm gonna pop this back on. So this was just a couple of highlights of some of the new things coming to ASP.NET Core and .NET 10. Support for passkeys and WebAuthn, support for validation for minimal APIs and Blazor. There's obviously so much more, improved authentication scaffolding, improved metrics and tracing for Blazor server and WebAssembly diagnostics, lots of performance improvements across the stack. Improvements to our open API support and minimal APIs, improvements to Blazor's quick grid, Blazor state persistence support, tons of stuff. To learn about all these new features, we encourage you to go and check out the release notes in the ASP.NET Core documentation set in the What's New doc. You can see the link there on the screen. Please download and install .NET 10 today and try it out. And if you're interested in where we're going in the future, you can see our roadmap also published on GitHub at aka.ms/ASP.NET/roadmap. So there's your teaser trailer for ASP.NET Core.
That's awesome. One, I love passkeys. I'm a big passkey fan. I mean, Mike showed I literally, because I jump between my Windows machine and my Mac machine all the time. And on Windows, when there's hello, it's like, that is your passkey. It's just like your faces, right? It's so great. And then I have on my Mac, I have my, my Apple keyboard that I paid too much money for, but it's got the fingerprint unlock, and that's the pass. There's nothing else like. I love it. There it is. That button is worth the upgrade alone. I absolutely love it. And interestingly enough, I use EasyAuth on one of my sites that I shipped, but now I'm like, I got to redo all the authentication. I got to rip it all out and redo it all with this because I just want the built-in passkey support. That was absolutely delightful. I dropped linked into the comments below for the release notes and all the what's new documentation for ASP.NET Core. And if you haven't been watching the team on the ASP.NET Core community stand-up, they've been doing a fantastic job along with all the other teams, giving updates behind the scenes as this thing has been rolling out. So make sure you browse the back catalog here on the .NET YouTube of all the amazing stuff. And you just had one with what Blazor intern. What happened today? There was like
intern demo fest. Yeah, our intern extraordinaire showed the new image component that we're working on for .NET, and as well as in RC1, there's now support for Blazor state persistence when doing enhanced navigation. So that's new and something we're excited to hear how for people to try out and let us know what they think.
Well, very cool. I'm super excited. Feedback flow getting a .NET 10 upgrade tonight. So that's going to be my hackathon project. Dan, Mike, thank you all so much. I'll let y'all go. Bye-bye. All right. The one and only Chet. Look at this guy. Well, it got dark in there. What happened?
Here, let me shed a little light on the subject. Boom.
Ooh, I love it. Oh my goodness, Chet, it is good to see you again. I miss you every single day. But you're here now, and we're here together.
You only like me because I bring you fun toys to play with, like the couple I'm going to show during the rest of the session.
It is very exciting times because I've been doing tons of like MCP work, and all these different languages and tools and runtimes. They all got fun little tiny command line things that make things go fast. And when you teased out to me not too long ago, and there's some blog posts dropping about some new goodies of running MCP servers from like a single command and NuGet and all this stuff, I was like, wow, this is like mind blowing in general. So I love it. I'm super, super stoked. So I'm glad that you signed up to show us a bunch of DNX goodies. There. I think people probably don't even, if they haven't watched, it'd be good to do a little background of like even what this thing is all about.
Oh, I got you. So .NET tools are awesome, right? It's a really nice thing to have built into your tool chain, the ability to make executables and easily sort of share them with everyone that has a .NET install already. We've seen people use this to distribute tools easily to use during their build, to make helper utilities for your CI/CD workflows, and any number of other scenarios. In fact, I have an LSP server for F# that I distribute as a tool, so that people using NeoVim or Helix or whatever can get started just by running, .NET tool install FS autocomplete. So they're a really flexible way to get your code distributed. Of course, like there are other amazing ways to distribute binaries as well. System-specific packages are one, winget, apt. Homebrew is super popular, but sometimes you just want something built in, and that's where tools have kind of hit that sweet spot. But it's kind of annoying. I don't know if you've ever tried to set up like an MCP server in like the mcp.json file in VS Code or whatever. You have to sort of define how to run these tools, right? And today what that means is like finding the tool and saying .NET tool install tool name, right? Or .NET tool install G tool name, and then like figuring out that tool name, and that's what you put in to your blurb. And one thing we've seen super frequently, especially with global tool installs, is that people will install once, get the latest at that point, and then never update again. We have, when we build the product, the .NET SDK product internally, we have tools that help us manage the dependency flows. And one of them is distributed like a .NET tool like this. And it's super common for people to forget to update that and not get new features, right? So between like the MCP server config problem and this like stale install problem, we saw a need, right? And those of you that are familiar with other ecosystems like NPM or even now Python with UV, you've got this concept of a one-shot tool execution. And we said, why can't we have that? Turns out we can, and it's really simple to do. So I'll show it real quick.
All right, I'll bring up your screen. Here we go.
Yep. But first, we're going to have to build a tool, right? So I have this tool here. It is called toolsay because I'm very original. And all it does is use spectre.console to get some input, either directly passed, redirected from standard input, or prompting a user if neither of those things happen. And once we get it, we're just going to print it out in classic Figlet green, right? So let me just go ahead and pack this tool real quick.
Now, .NET Pack, what is that actually doing in this case?
Well, I can show you actually.
Oh, okay, perfect.
So if we, well, I could show you, but then I'd have to bring up a different window. If we dug into that, I'm going to have to bring up a different window anyway to show some things later. So we'll play with that. A tool package today is like taking a framework dependent, platform agnostic app and shoving it in a zip package, right? And when I say those words, what I mean is like this tool doesn't carry the .NET runtime with it. So you need a runtime there. And it's also not optimized for any specific platform. So it'll run anywhere that you have the runtime installed.
Oh, cool.
But once you have that, and so I've got my package published to artifacts package release, I'm going to run that. So I'm going to say dnx tool say, and because it's in a local feed, we're just going to point to that, and it just ran my tool.
Oh, cool.
It installed it and ran it. Well, in this case, I had installed it previously, so it didn't prompt me, but we'll show that here in a second. Boom. So there's our tool running, right? So this DNX thing is just a handy way to sort of couple the acquisition, the installation of the tool with the execution of the tool. And it supports all the things that you might expect. So when you don't put anything here by default and just put the tool name, you'll get the latest. But if you can also like be super precise and say, I just want this version, right? This also supports NuGet ranges. So if you want, you can come in here. I need to figure out what that hangs about. Clearly I'm doing some wrong code, but you can come in here and do like this to say, give me the latest one dot something, right? So any like valid NuGet range expression you can put on the other side. That's and cool. Typos and everything, blowed up super large for the display. So DNX is just a way to help you more easily interact with the tools you already do. This is available for any .NET 10 install, and yeah, it works with all sorts of tools available today. Sanders McKnight asked in the chat, am I using chalk for this because it just got compromised? Nope, this is all .NET code. It's using spectre.console, which if you want to do anything like fancy terminal UI related, spectre.console is where you should reach today. It is, I think, a critical load-bearing part of the .NET CLI terminal ecosystem. So DNX is the first cool thing I want to show you. It has all the same knobs as tool install and tool run, right? So if you are pointing at a specific feed, you can specify feeds. If you have authentication that you need to work with a private feed, it supports the NuGet interactive flag, which for .NET 10 is on by default for you whenever you run a command directly at the command line. So it's really the best of both worlds. And ever since we developed this is all I use now. There's no reason for me to deal with, tool install G or whatever, because DNX is capable of working with both local and global tools. So when I say those things, what I mean is today, if you do .NET tool install G and install your tool, what we do is we go find your tool and we make an actual executable binary. So on Windows, you get a .exe, and on non-Windows platforms, you get like an invocable binary. And then we put that in a location that you make sure is on your path, and then you could just run tool say over and over and over again, right? That's a global install. A local one has like a little JSON file that says, I want this version of this tool. And you can check that in for repeatability, which is super nice to have. And when you do that, that looks like this kind of invocation, right? So DNX supports both of those ways. If you run DNX sort of just straight like we've been doing, this behaves sort of like a global install. It doesn't create the exe anywhere. It doesn't sort of pollute your path or anything, but it just runs the tool from where the package has been extracted. But if you have a local tool manifest in your workspace or in your repo, and you like aren't specifying a version here at all, we get the version from that manifest. So DNX respects your wishes there. So
That's super cool.
yeah, it's a really fun tool, and it has like, it's made the process of working with tools, like I said, just so much more chill for me.
Yeah. And I think that, the main use case that I've seen for this, a few things too. One is like, as I use like a lot more Copilot, like I have a bunch of global tools that I've been using, but like to be able to easily share that and get things set up and like have reusable things, like this is like super nice, right? Just like
the
I
getting
want to
started is so nice to just have the one command there.
Yeah.
And just copy and paste and be good to go.
Exactly. And then I think the other point that you really talked about is the most important part that I run into all the time with like Docker when I was using MCPs and have been is like, you got to pull the latest, right? It just doesn't get it automatically. So this will always get the latest with the NPX, right? Does that and UVX and things like that as well. So that's super nice to be part of that nice little ecosystem there, which is awesome.
Oh yeah. And you see that kind of pattern everywhere. You see Dependabot trying to keep you green, both in your global JSONs and in your actual packages. So we're playing into an ecosystem wide trend there, helping you stay up to date. So that's like running tools, but we also made some fundamental awesome changes to the tools themselves. If you remember a few minutes ago, I said that this tool is framework dependent and platform agnostic. That means anybody that wants to use my tool has to already have a .NET runtime available, and it needs to match the runtime of my application. So what I mean by that is if I go look in the bin directory here for my tool, there is a file that every .NET app gets called a runtime config JSON. And this file, this is the deep magic here, so hang with me for a second. This file is what the runtime uses to figure out what when you launch the app, what .NET runtime to use to actually run your app. So like you got to have this one, or you got to have a flag in here that says it's okay to try a more higher version one if it's there, right? And that's a concept called roll forward. And not everybody knows about that. It's a little bit esoteric, right? So what people will often do is they'll come to their tools and they'll say like target frameworks, net 8.0, net 9.0, et cetera, and do what's called multi-targeting of their tool. When, some tools might not need that. So what we wanted to support was the whole spectrum of ways of publishing applications that .NET developers are used to. If you are publishing an application today, you're used to .NET Publish making you, a framework-dependent bundle like we were just talking about, but you're probably also used to things like publishing self-contained or publishing trimmed, or if you are like really bleeding edge, publishing AOT. All of these things are things that turn your app from a platform agnostic app into a platform specific app. And that can be super powerful. When you have a platform specific app, you have like an actual executable that you can use. And if you've ever like looked at your task manager and seen a billion .NET processes from VS or VS Code, the reason you see that is because we're not like using the exes, the native exes here, right? But leaning into platform specifics can be a really nice way to make your application like really take advantage of that platform. But it also has other benefits. If I go back to our package source here, and we take a look at what's in it for this package, this is our framework dependent package. And this guy is, looks like 5.5 megs, right, of stuff. He's got a couple dependencies in here, including Microsoft SQL Data Client, which takes, X amount of space. If you've ever looked at a package that has runtime specific assets, you'll see a folder in there called runtimes that has a whole bunch of subdirectories in it. And in fact, we can see this in our own tools output, right? So we can see these runtimes and everything in here came from Microsoft Data SQL Client. When you make a platform agnostic package, all of this ends up in your package. But why? If you know that you're only ever going to run your application on like Windows x64, Linux x64, and OS X ARM64, shouldn't you be able to like specify and tailor make your application for that?
Yeah,
and
ideally.
Now you can.
Wow.
Now you can.
Okay, good.
So that was a lot of buildup, but essentially, for most folks, if you have a tool, meaning you have set pack as tool true, and you set any of the publish like properties, like publish self-contained or trimmed or AOT, you can now set a set of runtime identifiers, and we will make you a whole bunch of platform-specific packages according to whatever you want. So if we come over here, and we're not going to go like whole hog yet, we're just going to start self-contained, if I can spell, right? So we'll go self-contained, and we'll pack this. So before we had one package that had all the things we need to run that package on any platform. Now, our restore is taking a little bit longer, and whoa, we have a whole bunch of builds happening simultaneously, because each of these is for a different one of the platforms that I specified. So we've got the publishes, and then we've got the packaging. And if I go look in our package directory now, we can see we have a whole bunch more packages.
Whoa,
so let's take a quick check here about what these look like. And now we have a whole bunch of pretty chunky platform-specific packages. These are like roughly 35 to 40 megabytes per platform, which is way bigger than the previous one. But if we dug into it, what we would see is that there's no, like, we only have the assets for that one platform, right? So this is a really interesting click stop, because what it means now is this tool will run on any of these platforms without needing the .NET C or like runtime installed.
Wow.
There's an asterisk on that. We'll come back to in a bit.
Whoa.
So this guy is pretty chunky. We know that we have strategies to make .NET apps smaller. We can make them trimmed. So we can like walk every step along that chain here of the different publishing styles we have. And now we can see that we are doing the IL link step, which is the tool that takes all of that 30 plus megabytes of data, looks at what your app actually uses, and then trims it down to just the subset you use. And if we look now, we have much smaller packages, roughly a third the size. So this is still larger than where we started out, but it's a native application that only has that platform's assets. And if you are on Windows, when you use DNX or .NET Tool to run these things, you will only download the one for your platform, right? It's like these don't even exist to you. So the final step that you can do is to go really optimized. And this is where things get super fun. Because in .NET, you can't, like, we've built all of these packages in parallel for all these other mechanisms. In .NET, you can't do that. You can't AOT across platforms. So what I forgot to do here was specify the platform that I wanted to target, which is my current one. So we'll do this again. And now we see that it's taking a little bit longer. It's doing the ILC stuff. And what we will get as a result of this is a very trim 2.5 meg or less Windows x64 package here that is an AOT binary with just the assets for that platform. Why do that? Well, because AOT apps start up super fast compared to non-AOT apps. So this is a really great option for those folks that need to optimize for startup or repeated invocations or like short durations, right? So the uptake here is that the .NET SDK now supports the entire spectrum of publishing options for tools, and you can consume these things the exact same way that you did old tools. Two caveats. You got to be on .NET 10 to understand some of the metadata that describes this new format. So everybody update your SDKs. I just want to put out there that you can update your SDKs and still target .NET 8, .NET 9 for your apps, right? And we 100% encourage that. We do that all the time internally. Doing that makes sure that you have the latest and greatest capabilities no matter what kind of app you're building. In fact, the eagle-eyed among you may have realized in my project here that this entire time this app has been targeting .NET 9, right? I just want to drive that point home. So there's that. And then the other caveat with these is that, like, when you publish self-contained or trimmed or AOT, your thing that you just made doesn't need a runtime, but it does still need the .NET SDK to acquire. right? You need DNX, you need .NET tool install to go grab these things. So people that want to use your tool will still need this today. We're working on it though. I have big plans here. I see a future where like DNX could be a standalone native AOT binary.
Yeah.
And so there's a world where people making native AOT tools can easily distribute those tools to other platforms. So that's kind of the arc of where we hope to go with this.
That's
question
awesome.
in the chat, is it faster than Golang binaries? So in the abstract, I'm going to say no, because when you use DNX to run a tool, we'd have to quickly do a check for latest. And that check will introduce some latency there, right? But if you are specifying an exact version on DNX and it's already installed, then we will go right to invoking your app. So there should be minimal overhead. Everything after that, that's in your hands. You can optimize your startup, and anything that you measure you should see show up in this distribution mechanism entirely. So
that's
I'm
super
super
cool.
excited for this. We've got some samples coming out for, there's an MCP server template that a couple of friends of mine are working on that sets you up with all this multi-rid tool stuff right out the gate. So you are set on a path to success. So everybody go try this out and let us know what you think about it. Let us know where you think we should go next with this kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's super duper cool. Man, I think the MCP scenario that you just pointed out is fantastic. Yeah, I'm super excited about the new templates and where this is going, and really streamline that entire order of operation. I just took recently an MCP server that I made with the ASP.NET Core part of it. And then I hosted it, the existing one that I had, and hosted it inside of an Azure function and deployed it. And it was like magic. It was just like
it's
astonishing.
really interesting how this combination of MCP servers and wanting .NET to be competitive in this space is pushing other areas of the tool chain, right?
Yeah.
So wanting .NET written MCP servers to play nicely and to be easy to acquire is what led to this feature.
Yeah.
But MCP servers themselves, if you want them to start up fast, just like every other app, all of your dependencies need to be AOT compatible, right?
Yeah.
And so the kinds of tools I write are project management tools and things like that, which means you have the MS build libraries need to be AOT compatible, NuGet libraries need to be AOT compatible, various other serialization libraries need to. So we're at a point now where I think we have a critical mass of libraries in the ecosystem that are trimming aware and AOT aware, so we can have this renaissance of .NET implemented, but end user unaware of that, awesome tools. So
yeah,
I'm super excited for that.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I mean, the end user, they don't care what it's written in, right? They just want to use it and use some awesome thing. When they don't care where it's running or wherever, just an awesome thing. I mean, you and I, we sat down early on when I was doing early MCP work, and I was putting it into a multi-targeted Docker container and shipping that off, and it blew my mind. And then that was 4 months ago. Then everything's completely different now. And it's oh, this is even better. And I've been upgrading along the way. This is even better. This is even better. This is even better. So this is great. I can't wait to put this out there, and we'll drop links in the show notes already down there on YouTube for the .NET 10 RC1 announcement. And then make sure that you check out as well. You're an admin, so you can put the whole link in there, Chet. You can also check out the what's new as well on all those. So check out what's new and all of the .NET 10 goodies that are there. So definitely check out all that stuff. I'll put a link directly to that. You can dive into the libraries, runtime, and SDK. Chet, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it and showing this off.
You betcha. Everybody go try it, download it. Let us know what you think or what you think. Yes,
go get it and give the team feedback. They're active, of course, on GitHub, on the comments and discussions, all the places. All right, Chet, have a good afternoon. We'll check you later. Bye-bye. All right, that's going to do it for this .NET Unboxed RC1 with a Go Live license. Go check it out. You can try it out today in the brand new Visual Studio 2026 Insiders that just dropped, and in VS Code, which you saw both here today. That's going to do it for this .NET Unboxed. Go get .NET 10 RC1. Give it a try. Give the team feedback. So until next time, I'm James. Thanks for watching, and happy coding.